I had first heard Eric play in his own lounge room, and I realised just within a few moments, I thought, this man is extraordinary. So I really had no mind at all to organise something as colossal as this. Upon talking with Margaret, our secretary, she had mentioned that last year, in November, we would be celebrating our sesquicentenary anniversary, which instantly struck me as the ideal time. And that's how it began.
We had all the archives all set up outside, so people who had no idea of the Burragarang set up where the church was originally built and then the dam was built over it. A lot of people had no idea about that.
Eric's concerts are in fact a religious experience. It's not divine worship like liturgy is, but it's in fact a religious experience because of the anecdotes that he's giving, the messages. It's uplifting. There's a very real spiritual lesson there. There's an eloquent homily.
And so Celestine said, well, I'm not adopted. Then she looked at Anastasia. Maybe she's adopted. I'm not adopted. I thought, we've got to put an end to this. I take her downstairs and I say, honey, I have great news. And I had no clue what I was going to say after that, but it sure sounded like a good opening line. I started fumbling for a while. She finally turns to me and says, Daddy, are you trying to tell me I'm adopted? And with great relief, I said, yes, honey. And then she said, what took you so long? And then she said, that's great news. Wait till I tell Mom. The concert is roughly 40% vocal and about 60% instrumental works. And so you try to mix that up with, instrumental works that are stirring and passionate, and other ones that are more perhaps pensive and thoughtful, and other ones that may have a bit more of a sadness tone to it, another one that may have hopeful tone. But all of them have a story. And so prior to the pieces, I like to share the story and share what moved me to compose the piece. And all these pieces are, to me, all of them have not only sort of their own personality, but they come from very deep within me.
He would talk to the students and give them, the teenagers, and give them a lot more hope and saying that they have choices in life. His nephew died 6 weeks before he came over from a car accident. He wrote a song about his nephew, and the song was beautiful. It wasn't sad and teary-eyed, it was a very beautiful song. But then Eric stood up and spoke to the children, the teenagers and the students, and said, you people are in year 10 and 11, you have choices in life, you don't, it's your choice. And then if you make a choice and you make the wrong choice, then there are consequences, and you have to handle and deal with the consequences for the rest of your life.
I try to play in the schools, I play in the youth prisons, I play in the maximum security prisons, I play anywhere. I try to get in during the day to give some free concerts, to people that wouldn't otherwise be exposed to this. And one of the things that I've seen, and I've kind of seen this over the last 15 years, is this growth in cynicism, especially in our young. And I find that very concerning. So you have these young people who are 12, 13, and they're already very cynical about life, cynical about their future, cynical about their family, cynical about their existence, cynical about their culture. And you think, how is it that you at 12, 13, 14 already have life snuffed out of you? And that's what I want to reach.
I would ask around, and then I would ask them to do a recording for me.
I'll give them the piece of music, so I'll send the music a couple months ahead of time, and I will tell them, you know, I'll give guidelines as to this is what I'm thinking here, here, and here. But then I always tell them, bring your own beauty and certainly enjoy it.
He sent me the difficult pieces. If they could play those, they could play anything. And then he would ultimately approve them. So I managed to find a violinist, only Alexandra, who is superb. I only found her 3 weeks before the first concert. In the Eric Genis series of concerts, the violin has a crucial role. Her sight reading skills are amazing, really amazing.
The soloists we had here were just wonderful.
I found Christopher, our very brilliant cellist, only, I think, 2, maybe 3.5 or even less than that, maybe 2.5 weeks before. And he literally just got back from his tour in Italy and Vienna and so forth, looked at the music. He had seen it before. I said, look, can you play it at this speed? 60 for a metronome speed is basically 1 beat per second. And most of Eric's music is somewhere, I think some of it's 90, 110, 120, 130, 140. He wanted Chris to play that solo piece called Vengeance for the cello at 170. I kept on asking him, I said, Chris, can you play that fast? He says, yeah, I can.
There's a good number of people in that audience who've never really been exposed to a cello played that well, that close up. And it's thrilling because you can see them just be so stirred by this, by these great musicians.
And he brought Krista, and I think the film and the concerts bear their own story about her own performance and brilliance.
I don't clamp down on the musicians, and the reason is they all have a genius. And you know, I'll give guidelines, but I want them to bring out their beauty and their magic in the works. I mean, I play with very top people. So when you give them freedom of their own interpretation, there's a certain spark that comes in their eye. And they approach that music with a certain...
Possessive?
Yes, possessiveness, correct. Possessiveness and aggressiveness, as opposed to just, I know the notes, I know the music, I've come to play. I really hope that my musicians love performing my music. That's my hope. Because, you know, I want to inspire them too, and they certainly inspire me.
A sesquicentenary anniversary is not something that's going to come around very often. I mean, 150 years is 150 years. The next major anniversary, 200 years, most of the parishioners now will be part of its history, except for the youngest ones. We need to celebrate it in a very grand way.
There were kind of two main initiatives. One was Father Marks to invite Eric out.
I thought if we get him out here, a guy, you know, as good as him, I'd wanted to organise it really, really well, and it would have to be just absolutely outstanding. And something truly that's going to glorify God, lift the hearts of so many, and be a very worthwhile remembrance and honouring of a major anniversary.
It was a wonderful example of people's involvement wanting to help, and to see the lineup of people, it was quite astounding.
There There was a lot of younger generation that came, like high school children, primary school children. It was a discovery for them.
Children need to be part of beautiful things, see beautiful things and be exposed to beautiful things. And if they're not as children, it might be harder for them to find it later. So why not expose them to something like this while it's available, and this concert was coming to them. So
he had a kind of a regional itinerary, and that was to go all around the Macarthur and perform at different places, and that was very, very successful.
When Father Mark said that he was going to do what he was going to do, I thought personally moving a baby grand piano to like nearly 16 venues was just madness.
The concert was really a cultural way of celebrating this spiritual milestone.
And the community got a lot out of it, but I think the committee got exceptional amount out of it.
While a thought takes a split second to cross your mind, the realization of that thought can take you hours, days, whatever.
We did advertise it well in advance, and we sent a lot of invitations out to people.
Camden, Campbelltown, Rosemeadow, well, all those parishes, I think now we're not just a tree with different branches shooting out everywhere, we work together.
I really did very little about it until one Saturday morning in, I think, middle of July, or late July actually, and I got up with all the fretfulness and anxiety you could imagine, couldn't sleep anymore after 5 o'clock, with one thought on my mind. We are 3 months out of the concert and you've done nothing.
So I'm putting together a concert in November, and I need a few people, about 10 people, and just wondering if you can help. So that was how it started off, and as it unfolded, we realised how big it would be.
We didn't have a lot of time. Our first meeting was either August or September. We only had 3 months, yeah.
The vision is we want to produce a series of concerts of an exceptionally high quality, glorious music to evangelize through music and the power, the compelling power of beauty in music.
In the beginning, we were just there as a committee. By the middle of it, we had his belief, his passion, his faith.